Thank you so much, Priscilla, for making the time to be with us today. I'm really excited to hear what you're going to be sharing with us. You know, debt is a huge issue for a lot of practices. And I know with some of the practices we work in with, they've got huge outstanding debt. The other day we spoke to a doctor and he was saying to me that he's got no outstanding debt. And when we actually went into his VetMaster system and we looked over the last 3 years, he was sitting with about 3 million Rand outstanding debt. Now, what we sometimes forget, especially as practice owners and as doctors or business owners, is that outstanding debt, that money that you're writing off, comes directly out of your pocket. Because your business pays, you're still paying your rent, you're still paying your overheads, your salaries, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it cuts into the money you would have earned. So your holiday money, your bonuses, your money that you would have reinvested in your practice and in your business, that's what you're losing in bad debt. And Priscilla, you guys specialize in helping our businesses collect their bad debt and making sure that we've got systems in place that we don't have to write off huge amounts of money. So thank you so much, and over to you.
Thank you, Carl. It's an absolute pleasure for Van Ryn's attorneys to be part of the Vet Summit this year. We've got quite a lot of doctors on our books, and we understand the frustrations that come with bad debt, and doctors don't know what to do when they sit with this debt book. Patients or clients don't take them seriously, and that is where we come in. We are focused on helping out the practice and doing it in a very cost-effective way. It makes no sense to have bad debt and then have to pay a firm to collect your bad debts and lose out even more. So today I'm just going to run through a presentation to inform the vet doctors on what they can do to make debt collection more effective and easy. So there are a couple of main concerns within the practice when it comes to managing your bad debt, and we want to tell you what you can do to solve the problems that come with that. First of all, always keep contact information up to date. In order for debt collection to be successful, we need the practice to ensure that all contact information is kept up to date. It's important to train the front desk reception. She needs to know that if a patient or a client walks into the practice and they haven't been there for a year or two, information has changed. So ask them, look at the documents. If anything has changed, please inform us accordingly and update that information on the system. After all, we collect on the information provided by the practice. It just delays the collections process tremendously if we have incorrect or inaccurate information. Make sure that you've got terms and conditions in place. Terms and conditions are crucial to a successful bad debt collection. The practice needs to stipulate that the account has to be paid within a certain time frame. Failure to pay the account will result in the account being handed over for legal collection. You have to mention that the legal fees will be for the account of the client. For tracing purposes, the practice needs to mention that we will list them on the credit bureau and that they will have a negative credit rating once they are listed. We both need to comply with the POPI Act. If they don't have terms and conditions in place or the client hasn't signed any paperwork, we will not be able to do a trace on their ID number for new updated information. Hand over as soon as the account becomes overdue. This is the biggest mistake that doctors make. They don't hand over on 90 days or 120 days. They keep the account when it's 2-3 years overdue. It becomes very difficult for Van Ryn's to collect on accounts that are old. The sooner the debt is handed over, the easier it will be for us to collect. Old debt is not easy to collect, and as you know, contact information changes over time. Van Ryn's attorneys will from time to time do a trace on the ID numbers of the debtors for additional contact information should it become necessary. That's another reason why the terms and conditions need to be in place. If the debtor didn't sign any terms and conditions, we will not be able to trace the ID number. Another reason why it is important to hand over the debt as soon as it becomes overdue is because debt is only valid for a period of 3 years. After 3 years, it prescribes, meaning that it is no longer lawful to collect on the debt. The only thing that stops prescription from happening is if you've got a written acknowledgement or if they've made a payment in between, then it will be renewed. What can the practice do to ensure that we collect your debt effectively? So at Van Ryn's Attorneys, we pride ourselves in our free debt collection offering. In order for us to live up to our promise, we need you to help us out in a few small ways. First and foremost, please make sure that you have terms and conditions for your practice. Should we have a scenario where the debtor decides that he will pay the overdue amount directly into your bank account after it's been handed over to us, we'll not be able to continue with the collection of the fees or disbursements due to Van Ryn's. On the other hand, if the terms and conditions have been signed, then we have acknowledgement from the debtor that legal fees will be for their account. Only then will we be in the position to pursue the cost, even if they had settled the account directly at the practice. Inaccurate information will result in an unsuccessful collection and will delay the collections process. The sooner we can get hold of the debtor to inform him or her of the overdue account, the sooner we can collect the money due. Please hold on. Don't hold on to the debt for longer than 120 days. Old debt is very hard to collect. We need to take into consideration that debt prescribes. By the time you hand it over to us, it's already 6 months down the line. We work on it for another 4 to 5 months, and that's another year down the line. So the sooner you hand over, the sooner we can get your money. So why choose Van Ryn's Attorneys? There's no collections commissions payable by the practice. There's no monthly service fees, easy process, and good, excellent customer service. When we see new clients and we introduce them to our services, they always have a few questions. We just want to run through the frequently asked questions to make sure that you understand and that there's no confusion at the end of the day. So they always ask, what happens if the debtor makes a payment directly to the practice after handover? We require that you inform us immediately. Let us know the debtor has paid, the amount of payment, and the date of payment. If we can prove on our side that we have made contact with the debtor, we will reduce the capital accordingly and continue to collect our fees. So we're not going to tell the doctor that you need to pay over half of the money that you've received. We're very happy that you've been paid. We'll reduce the capital and then still hold the debtor liable for the costs involved. I'm sure you're very intrigued to know what the fees are that we add onto the bill, because we still need to make cover our costs on our side, even though it's a free service to the doctor. There's always a standard instruction fee of 620 Rand. This fee doesn't change whether you give us 200 Rand to collect or 2,000 Rand. The instruction fee remains the same. is 10% collections commission based on the capital amount. So that will change. On 500 Rand, it will be 50 Rand, and so on, it will go up. There's 10% interest that we add on per annum, but we've limited the interest to 30% of the capital amount. So the interest will never be more than 30% of the capital. The debtors will also be billed for all telephone calls that we make to them. If we need to send out emails to them, they'll be billed, and they'll be billed on all SMS messages that we have to send. So all of this will be the costs that we add on over and above the account that you give us to collect. So bear in mind, don't feel sorry for them. If they have paid your account, they would not have been in this situation. So we do still hold them liable. So what does it mean if we ITC list the debtor? ITC listing the debtor with TransUnion will result in a negative credit rating. The debtor will be listed for a period of 2 years. For that time period, they will not be able to make any new credit. As soon as they apply for credit, they'll be informed that Van Ryn's attorneys has blacklisted them. They need to make contact with us. Once they've paid the entire bill, including our fees, we'll remove their name from ITC. It's a quick process. It takes 2 minutes. We issue them with a letter stating that the account is paid in full, and their name will be removed from the blacklist. So how will you be able to track the process of handovers? So Van Ryn's attorneys will supply you with 2 reports. Every single month, you'll get a report before the 7th of the new month. You'll get a status report showing you all the files that we've been working on, and there'll be a short description on the side. For example, account paid, or fixed arrangement, or ITC listed. You'll know exactly where you stand with your accounts. Along with that, we also give you a payment report. It's a lot like the remittance advice that you get from your, if you are a doctor, from the medical aids, when there's medical aids involved. So it will be a lump sum payment, for example, 5,000 Rand, and we will show you how to allocate the 5,000 Rand. So what do you need to send me to collect your bad debts? We need you to send us a detailed statement of the account reflecting the balance due. We need the contact details of the responsible party involved, the signed terms and conditions, and then any credit notes that you've made on the account. When did you speak to the debtor? Did you get hold of them? Did you just send SMS messages? We just need that, because the very first excuse will always be, I was not informed about the account. You're welcome to send all the documents to us via email. If you are based in Gauteng, we will come and collect the hard copies from your office. It's always nice to have the face-to-face interaction. But if it's easy for you to send it, we don't mind email communication at all. Interested in us? Click on our logo to download all the necessary documents needed to sign up. Alternatively, send us an email to marketingb@VRAttorneys, or you can contact me, 076 511 6292. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. That was incredibly interesting. I've got just a couple of questions. If we think about our vets and our practices, I think the most important thing for us is to have proper contracts in place. In other words, when a client walks into the practice and they come to us for the first time, we need to know that the document they're going to be signing has got all of the information, the right information in place. Otherwise, if they don't pay, we've got no recall. And I think you guys probably in taking on new clients, find a lot of contracts that are outdated, don't have sufficient information on there, don't have proper terms and conditions in place, or do they? Or have all the doctors got that in place? What do you find?
Practices don't have the proper terms and conditions in place, but we have designed templates that we supply to all the new doctors that sign up with Van Ryn's attorneys. Those templates are given to them free of charge, and it's already in legal terms, so they know that we will help them throughout the collections process. We'll be with them, make sure that they follow the right procedures, that they ask for the correct information, and that they've got the correct legal terms on the terms and conditions.
So Priscilla, if I understand correctly, you guys have offered a special deal for everybody that's on this conference, who's attending this conference. In fact, it's not really a special deal. You've offered to look at their contracts free of charge. You've offered for them to send through their standard contract that they're using at the moment, for you to have a quick glance at it and just give them some advice on what they need to change. So thank you for that. And so guys,
100%. They're more than welcome. Please do send us your contracts. Van Ryn's attorneys will be there to guide you through the collections process, and give you the correct information and the correct terms and conditions and terminology to make sure that we ultimately both comply with the POPI Act, and that we've got the necessary documents in place when we do start your collections process.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So don't forget, guys, give them a call, send Priscilla, email her a copy of your contract, and she'll quickly glance over it and give you some advice on what you need to change, what you're doing right, and what you could be doing better. Because at the end of the day, it's our money. It's what we work for. It's part of running our business, and we have to make sure that we get paid. The other thing I wanted to just talk to you about a little bit is that we in the industry see a lot of fly-by-nights. A lot of guys that come in and they visit us and they say, we'll collect your debt for you, and we end up paying them a heap of money, and they go out and collect money and sometimes don't even give the money back to us. We had one guy that we were working with who was collecting on our behalf. He collected a whole lot of money. We never saw the money, and we never saw him again either. So from your side, thank you so much for what you guys are doing, and the way in which you're doing it, that there's absolutely no risk to us as a practice. We can engage you guys, and the risk is not with us. The risk lies with you, and we get back whatever you get in for us, and you take your costs directly from the customers. So thank you for that. So that's a huge advantage in working with you guys. And then the other thing I also wanted to find out from you is if we have everything in place, like we got proper contracts in place, the customer signed it up properly, and the customer then doesn't pay, and we hand it over to you, and you send out that first letter. I've found that with the first letter that you guys send out, the customers get such a fright because they're receiving a letter from an attorney, that most of the times they come in and make an arrangement and they pay. So how percentage-wise, or you probably wouldn't be able to say percentage-wise, but what is the success rate on debt recovery if we do things the proper way, we do it the right way, and use you guys?
Look, that definitely happens a lot. They get our first letter and they quickly pay, trying to avoid legal fees and realizing that they are in trouble now. That's why we request that the practice just communicates with us and tells us as soon as they realize, or as soon as the debtors walked into the practice, actually, let them know that, look, you've been handed over, you're very welcome to pay my account, but I've handed you over, so legal fees will be due. You have to make contact with Van Ryn's attorneys. If the practice follows all the procedures that we've set out, and make sure that they've got information, they make sure that they've got terms and conditions in place, it's actually very easy for us to collect debt.
Brilliant.
that's all we require from the practices. We can't exactly give them a percentage on successful collections rate because it varies according to the area that they're based in, the kind of people that they hand over. So there's a lot of factors that you need to take in consideration, but it all starts at the practice. If they follow the procedures, it will be no hassle to collect the debts at the end of the day.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Then, Priscilla, also, I just want to mention to our attendees that we will be running a monthly after summit webinar, and sometime in the near future we'll bring you on board again, and we'd have an open question and answer webinar where we can get some of the practices to come on board and talk about some of the issues, and we look forward to chatting to you again, and we look forward to a prosperous business with very little debt that we have to write off. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being part of this exciting summit, and thank you for your sponsorship when it comes to being part of this summit, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Carl. We look forward to helping out all the veterinary hospitals because they get overlooked. People don't take them seriously, and we realize that they still need to survive. That's why we're here to help out, and we look forward to hearing from them again.